Tension headaches. This is the headache you already know, a tight band squeezing your skull like a hat 2 sizes too small. It's the most common headache on Earth, and there's a good chance you had one last week. What causes it? Stress, mostly. Bad posture, clenched jaws, hours hunched over a laptop. Your scalp and neck muscles tighten up, and that tension radiates into a dull, constant ache. Scientifically, researchers used to think it was pure muscle contraction. Now they know it's more complicated. Your brain's pain processing system gets more sensitive, so normal muscle tension starts registering as pain when it normally wouldn't. The upside: it's rarely dangerous. The downside: it can drag on for hours, sometimes days, and chip away at your focus the whole time. Fun fact: women get tension headaches more often than men, and nobody's entirely sure why. Hormones are the leading suspect. Practical fix: stretch your neck, fix your posture, and don't skip meals. Dehydration alone can trigger one of these. Your muscles calm down, but not every headache stays this simple. 2. Migraines. A migraine isn't just a bad headache. That's like calling a hurricane a bit windy. Migraines throb, usually on one side, and come with nausea, light sensitivity, and sometimes visual auras, flashing lights or blind spots before the pain even hits. The science: migraines involve blood vessels and nerve pathways in the brain misfiring together. A protein called CGRP floods your system, inflaming nerves and triggering that deep, pulsing pain. There's no real benefit here. Migraines can knock you out of a full day of work. But understanding your triggers, like certain foods, poor sleep, or bright screens, can cut down how often they hit. Interesting fact: some people get an aura that acts like an early warning system, giving them a chance to take medication before the worst of it starts. Advice: keep a headache diary. Patterns show up faster than you'd think. Migraines come from inside the brain's wiring, but some headaches come from something much more mechanical. 3. Cluster headaches. Doctors call these suicide headaches. That name alone should tell you how brutal they are. Cluster headaches hit in short, intense waves, often around one eye, and can wake you up in the middle of the night like clockwork. Why? Nobody's 100% sure, but it seems tied to your hypothalamus, the brain region that controls your internal clock. That's why clusters often strike at the same time every day for weeks, then vanish for months. There's no upside to these. They're rare, but when they hit hard. Some people describe the pain as worse than childbirth or kidney stones. Interesting fact: cluster headaches affect men more than women, which is the opposite pattern from migraines. If this sounds like what you're dealing with, see a doctor. This isn't a power-through-it situation. Now let's look at a headache caused by something you're actually doing to yourself. 4. Caffeine withdrawal headaches. You skip your morning coffee. By 2 p.m., your skull is staging a protest. Caffeine narrows blood vessels in your brain. Skip it, and those vessels widen back out fast, increasing blood flow and triggering pain. It's basically your brain going through a tiny breakup with its favorite drug. The good news? It's temporary and totally preventable. The bad news, if you're a heavy coffee drinker, quitting cold turkey can feel brutal for a few days. Fun fact: caffeine is actually an ingredient in some headache medications, because in small controlled doses, it can help relieve pain, not just cause it. Advice: taper slowly instead of quitting all at once. Your head will thank you. That headache came from what you put into your body. This next one comes from what your body's fighting off. 5. Sinus headaches, pressure behind your eyes, pain across your cheeks and forehead. Feels like your face is being squeezed from the inside. This happens when your sinuses get inflamed, usually from allergies or infection, and swell up with fluid and pressure. Here's the twist: a lot of people diagnose themselves with sinus headaches actually have migraines. Studies show the two get confused constantly because the pain overlaps in the same areas of the face. If it really is sinus-related, treating the underlying congestion, not just the pain, is what actually helps. Interesting fact: true sinus headaches almost always come with other symptoms, like a stuffy nose or fever. If you don't have those, it's probably something else going on. Advice: steam, hydration, and decongestants can ease genuine sinus pressure fast. Speaking of things going on elsewhere in your body, some headaches aren't really about your head at all. 6. Hormonal headaches. Ever notice your head hurts like clockwork around your period? That's not a coincidence. Estrogen levels drop right before menstruation, and that drop can trigger headaches or full-blown migraines in people sensitive to the shift. This is why hormonal birth control, pregnancy, and menopause can all change someone's headache patterns dramatically. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Interesting fact, some people find their migraines vanish during pregnancy, only to return afterward, once hormone levels shift again. Advice: tracking your cycle alongside your headache pattern can reveal a connection you never noticed before. Hormones are internal chemistry. But sometimes the trigger is as simple as squeezing your head too tight. Literally. 7. Rebound headaches. This one's sneaky. You take painkillers for a headache. The headache fades, then it comes back. Worse. Welcome to the rebound headache, caused by overusing pain medication itself. Your brain adapts to the drug, and once it wears off, pain rebounds harder than before. It's a vicious cycle. More pain leads to more medication, which leads to more pain. Doctors say this is one of the most underdiagnosed headache types out there because people assume they just need more medicine, not less. Advice: if you're taking headache medication more than a couple times a week, talk to a doctor. Breaking the cycle usually means temporarily stopping the medication altogether. Uncomfortable, but effective. And finally, there's a headache almost everyone gets, but almost nobody warns you about. 8. Exertion headaches. You finish an intense workout and suddenly your head is pounding. Exertion headaches happen when physical strain, heavy lifting, running, even coughing, spikes pressure in your skull and blood vessels rapidly. Usually harmless, usually short-lived. But if it's sudden, severe, and unlike anything you felt before, it's worth getting checked out, since in rare cases it can signal something more serious. Interesting fact, staying hydrated and warming up properly before exercise can cut your odds of getting one significantly. Advice: ease into intense exercise instead of going full throttle right away, especially in heat. 8 headaches. 8 completely different stories happening inside your skull. Next time your head starts pounding, you won't just feel it. You'll actually know what's going on up there. Picking up right where we left off. Here are 4 more headache types you've probably felt but never had a name for. 9. Ice pick headaches. Imagine getting stabbed in the skull by an invisible ice pick for 1 second. Then it's gone. That's exactly what this feels like. And yes, that's really its medical name. These headaches strike out of nowhere. No warning, no buildup. Just a sharp, stabbing jolt, usually around one eye or temple, lasting anywhere from a few seconds to under a minute. The science isn't fully settled, but researchers think it's related to sudden, brief misfiring in the trigeminal nerve, the same nerve highway responsible for most facial pain signals in your head. Here's the strange part. People who get migraines are far more likely to also get ice pick headaches. It's like your nervous system already has a sensitive setting, and this is just another way it shows up. There's no real benefit to these, obviously, but the good news is they're usually harmless and don't require treatment unless they start happening frequently. Interesting fact, some people get just 1 or 2 of these in their entire life. Others get several a day. The range is wild. Advice: if they become frequent, a doctor might prescribe a preventive medication. Otherwise, just ride it out. It's over before you can even react. That one came and went in a flash. This next headache does the exact opposite. It builds slowly, and it's tied to something in your daily habits you'd never suspect. 10. Eye strain. Headaches. You've been staring at a screen for 6 hours straight. Your eyes feel tired. Then the headache creeps in, usually right behind your eyes or across your forehead. This isn't your imagination. It's called digital eye strain, and it happens because your eye muscles are working overtime to focus on close-up screens for extended periods, especially without blinking enough. Here's a fact that surprises people. We blink about 66% less often when staring at screens. Less blinking means drier eyes, more strain, and yes, more headaches. The scientific term is accommodative stress. Your eyes focusing muscles basically get fatigued, the same way your legs would after squatting for hours straight. There's no upside here, but the fix is refreshingly simple. And unlike a lot of headaches on this list, this one is almost entirely preventable. Interesting fact, the 20-20-20 rule was actually designed by eye doctors specifically for this. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It gives your eye muscles a chance to reset. Advice: adjust your screen brightness to match the room around you. And if headaches are frequent, get your eyes checked. You might just need glasses. That headache came from your eyes doing too much work. This next one comes from your brain doing too little of something else. Sleep. 11. Sleep-related headaches. Too little sleep gives you a headache. So does too much. Your brain apparently wants things exactly right. Sleep and headaches are deeply connected because your brain uses sleep to regulate chemicals like serotonin, the same neurotransmitter tied to pain regulation. Mess with your sleep schedule, and you mess with your pain threshold. There's actually a specific type called a hypnic headache, nicknamed the alarm clock headache, because it wakes people up at the exact same time almost every night, usually between 1 and 3 a.m. It's rare, but when it happens, it's eerily consistent. Scientists believe irregular sleep disrupts your body's internal clock, throwing off blood flow and pain signaling in the brain overnight. No real benefits here either, but the fix is one of the most straightforward on this entire list: consistency. Interesting fact, even sleeping in on weekends can trigger a headache. Doctors sometimes call it weekend headache syndrome, caused by your sleep schedule shifting just enough to throw your body off. Advice: go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, weekends included. Your brain doesn't care that it's Saturday. Sleep problems mess with your brain chemistry. But sometimes the cause of your headache is sitting right there on your plate. 12. Food-triggered headaches. You eat a slice of aged cheese, a glass of red wine, or a hot dog loaded with nitrates, and an hour later, your head is pounding. That's not a coincidence either. Certain foods contain compounds like tyramine, nitrates, or artificial additives that can trigger blood vessel changes in sensitive people, setting off a headache or migraine. The classic example is MSG, which got blamed for decades, though modern research shows it only affects a small percentage of people, and usually only in large amounts on an empty stomach. The real well-documented triggers are things like aged cheeses, processed meats, alcohol, especially red wine, and artificial sweeteners. There's no benefit to food-triggered headaches, but there is a silver lining. Once you identify your triggers, they're some of the easiest headaches to prevent entirely. Interesting fact: chocolate gets blamed constantly, but some studies suggest chocolate cravings might actually be an early symptom of an oncoming migraine, not the cause of it. You're not craving chocolate. Your brain's already starting the headache and making you think it's hungry. Advice: keep a simple food log alongside your headache diary. Patterns usually show up within a few weeks. 12 headaches down. Every ache, throb, and stab in your skull now has a name, a cause, and a reason it's happening. Next time your head starts pounding, you're not just going to feel it. You're going to understand exactly what your body's trying to tell you. If this saved you from another round of "why does my head hurt?" you know what to do. Hit subscribe to Rx.Cologist, because your body's been trying to tell you things for years, and it's about time someone actually translated.